You're in luck tonight because my first guest is probably America's most prominent libertarian, Congressman and former presidential candidate Ron Paul. So, Dr. Paul, did you see anything, hear anything tonight you liked?
Not really. I mean, I think every one of these speeches are very similar. You know, they've been talking about cutting back for years, like you indicated in your opening. But I heard nothing there that would get me excited. I didn't hear where the cuts would be. I heard that there would be new programs, not less programs, and that there would probably be more taxes too. And then they won't even come close to dealing with the deficit. When he talks about cutting, at one point he talked about cutting $400 billion after 5 years or so. Heck, we increased the national debt last year by $1.7 trillion. So they're not even talking about it. They're throwing things out here to try to reassure the people. But there's nothing going to reassure the people until we have a healthy economy. And
the president may have been trying to reassure the people, but Paul Ryan seemed pretty dire. He talked about bankruptcy, and we're at a tipping point. You're right, he wasn't very specific, but yeah. You're not impressed by his speech either?
Well, no, I think he's very sincere, and I think he would move it in a different fashion. But I keep thinking about, where are the words when we have the clout? We don't have any clout. The House has a little more clout now, but we argue, the Republicans have argued that we don't need Obamacare, so we vote in the House to get rid of Obamacare, but it's not going to go into Senate, and the president's not going to do that. So, but when we had a better chance, and this is the frustration of the libertarians, is, we hear libertarian-like ideas from Republicans, but, the Republicans had the House and the Senate and the presidency, but government expanded massively and deficits exploded. So this is why the people get cynical.
But wait a second, I don't want to be cynical. I'm assuming this is a new group. They've wised up. They're at least talking, to my ear, more about cuts. The president, in terms of specific cuts, proposes to freeze non-defense discretionary spending.
Yeah, we always hope they'll cut, but you have to cut discretionary spending too. You have to cut everything. But what?
That's only 19% of the budget.
Maybe less than that. See, I don't think that all this talk has much meaning, because I don't think they're talking about the right thing. They're talking about a budget, which is very important, and I don't vote for any spending, so I think there's too much spending. But I think it's what the people expect from government. As long as we have this philosophic acceptance of that we are to be the policemen of the world, we're to have a welfare state from cradle to grave, that we're involved in delivery of medical care for everybody that needs it, free education for everybody, you just can't please people. That you're always going to have the pressure to spend. So it is much bigger than the budget. It's whether or not we want to change the role of government. We have to ask, what should the role of government be in a free society? That is, if we want to live in a free society. If we want to live in a free society.
The Republican Study Committee has proposed $2.5 trillion in cuts over the next 10 years. You impressed by that?
Not hardly. I mean, if I want to cut that in 1 year, but then they say the end of the world would come if you did that. But what if you did these cuts that libertarians would like? But what if you got rid of the income tax at the same time? Wouldn't this release a tremendous amount of energy if everybody knew that they had no more taxes to pay, no more income? People would be willing to work and save and invest and everything else.
But as President Obama said, we can't leave the poor and the weak in the lurch, and that would do that.
Yeah, but the more they try, the more the poor they get. I mean, the more you try to help people who don't have these programs, the worse the problems get. So yes, they grab the moral high ground by saying that, but I've argued for years that if you're a true humanitarian, you have to be a libertarian. You have to believe in liberty and freedom and the market and property rights. And then, this will really help the people. We've been the freest nation in the world, and we've been the most prosperous. But we've given up on this. When people get on TV these days and argue that there's more capitalism in China there's something wrong with us, you know. And they work hard and they save their money and they're buying up natural resources around the world and they're not trying to take over the world militarily. But here we are, we're endlessly spending and we have this militarism, which is a major burden too.